All right. Once again, podcasting about discovering, unlocking your brain's superpowers and training your brain to work for you, not against you, with brain training. And today we're going to do a secret brain hack to bust emotional eating.
Yay.
And the problem that most people face that need this technique is mood eating and overeating. There's lots of reasons to use this technique, but mood eating and overeating are the top ones, because mood eating is either eating for boredom, I think is probably the most common, or it's to make yourself feel better because you're bummed out. And some people, when they're stressed, they don't eat. That's rare, but then other people will overeat or just eat just because they're stressed. And usually the reason that people eat from stress or a mood is because of how the food affects their mood chemically. They're treating themselves with drugs, but food is the drug. So they're altering their brain chemistry with the food. And in that case, it's usually carbs.
Yeah. When you said that, it's just thinking about myself. I don't know what it is, but eating for me is like a huge coping mechanism for everything. So it's like when I'm really hungry, like we're talking about conscious eating today, probably something I just never do. And so like that emotional part that you were talking about, like stress and emotional eating, so I do both of them. So
most people do.
Yeah. So
Well, I
just
think everyone does to a certain extent. I do too. Everybody does.
Yeah. It's some pattern that you have. Like sometimes I stress eat, and then sometimes I don't. Like, you know how you said you won't eat if you're stressed?
Yeah.
It also, I feel like sometimes can depend on the kind of stress that you're under too. So just very interesting, but yeah.
Yeah, well, sometimes you'll run into somebody and they're just gotten really skinny.
Yeah, and you're like,
They're
are you
like,
okay?
yeah, are you sick? Are you okay?
You look
no,
sick.
I've just been really stressed out. And then other people, you see them in 2 months and they've just ballooned.
Yeah, just gain weight. They're
And you're
super
like,
swollen.
Oh, what's going on?
You
and they're
okay?
like, oh, I've just been really stressed out. So everybody
Deals with it
reacts differently. Yeah. But for some people, when they are treating their brain with food, the carbs are so effective for that temporarily is because those sugars have a very temporary and powerful effect on the mood. Sugar and starch will boost your mood for 10 minutes or so. And then it's a battle between the prefrontal cortex, the PFC, and the subconscious, the toddler, because the toddler is telling the PFC and you, the rest of the brain, hey, I know how to deal with this mood funk thing. Snickers worked really great the last 10 times. Let's do that again. So it goes with the formula that it knows. Then the PFC kicks in and says, yeah, but we're going to gain more weight and it's really unhealthy. And after 20 minutes, yeah, we'll feel great for 10 or 15, but 20 minutes later we'll feel the same. 30 minutes later we'll feel worse than right now. So we go below, and then now, toddler, you're going to come screaming for another Snickers bar. And so the toddler, of course, says, yeah, but I know it'll work, so let's just do it. And so if it's towards the end of the day or the PFC is tired for whatever reason, the willpower's gone, toddler wins, Snickers bar, feels better, then the toddler says, see, I told you. And then everything is reinforced. That loop is reinforced even stronger because it worked. But then half an hour later, the PFC comes out and says, yeah, I told you. But toddler doesn't listen like most toddlers. And it's just this battle.
Yeah.
So this is going to help with that. And then also with overeating, because, and all of us have issues with that too. Also, remember we talked about breaking a pattern?
Yeah.
And the 3 things: focus, physiology, and belief. So if you can nail 2 of those 3, you're doing great. It's probably going to work. 3 of the 3 usually works. So if 1 of the 3 maybe, it still can work.
Yeah.
So this hits 2 of them: focus and physiology.
Right.
So that's another reason it's such a good technique. You want to go through it? Okay,
I
so
was just gonna say, give me an example of each. Like, if you were doing like breaking your focus when it comes to eating, what would that look like? And then so on and so forth. So.
well, we'll go through the technique, and I bet you'll be able to guess where we're focusing and
Okay.
where we're taking our breaking our physiology.
No, it's perfect.
So, pretend you are eating, let's just say, your favorite food, pizza, right? Okay. So, got your pizza going, and you also said last time we talked about it that you eat it really fast because it's so delicious, and that's what most people do with really delicious food. Have you ever watched a pet dog eat food?
They eat really fast because it's almost like they were starving or something. Like,
Oh yeah.
give me the food. It's like animalistic kicks in, but
Well, that's why they call wolf it down, and wolves are
Wolf,
a
yeah.
dog in dog kingdom. So the reason that dogs do that is because it's in their genes from when they were wild.
yeah,
Food was scarce.
you have to eat quick
You got to eat quick
or it's gonna go away.
because there's the whole pack that are coming in on this thing. Dogs are scavenger animals, and so that's why they like bones so much because usually
They have
there's
leftover
lots of
meat.
bones left.
Yeah.
Meat's gone, and so they're, well, all right, here we go. Let's chew through these bones and get to the marrow, which is really super high nutrient. And so it's just a throwback to their ancestry. So they're always in a hurry, and they'll never change. That's just how they do. But sometimes people are like that too, from ancestral reasons, but also for maybe how they were raised. If they were raised in Europe, where they do conscious eating automatically, they'll probably take their time. But if they're raised here, where we wolf our food down because we're always so busy and on the go,
Yeah.
they'll probably wolf it down.
So when you say that, like in Europe, for example, when they do conscious eating, is it because we've talked about this before? When you're consciously eating, you're not just talking about other things or distracted. You're talking about the food and how good it tastes, and like you're slowly eating and enjoying it and savoring it. Is that what you're talking about when they like already in their culture?
That's conscious eating.
Yeah.
And it is becoming a dying art in Europe, unfortunately.
Well, everyone's on the go. They're just, everything's so busy, even in different countries, but especially here. Yeah.
But this is why you'll see traditional European bistros and restaurants and meals with traditional Europeans. There are 4 courses or more, and the course comes one at a time. It's
And
not
they're
a plate
small.
full of
No.
everything.
Yeah.
It's, here's your first course, and it's a small to medium plate, and you eat that.
You take a break.
And conscious eating is eating it slowly and talking about it and putting your fork down between every bite and having conversations with, the other people about the food and enjoying the aromas and the texture and talking about all of that and the colors. And food and eating is an event. And so then it takes you 15, 20 minutes. And then course number 2 comes. And it takes you 15, 20 minutes.
And it's just wild to think about it like that, because we do, and I never really thought about how they separate it. And that's a natural thing too. It's a culture, but you can also apply those to here so
Yeah.
that you can actually enjoy your food. And
Right.
savor
So
it.
let's pretend your first course came, and
Okay.
it's pizza.
Ooh,
That's a good first course.
danger zone.
Normally it's salad, right? But yours is pizza. So you've got the pizza sitting there in front of you. You just took a bite. And now how are you going to consciously eat?
What I would do is probably be like, oh, make a sound. Make a sound for sure. Oh my gosh, this is so good. And that's exactly how I'd say it. And then I just like chew it really slow. I'm just like tasting all the flavors. My gosh, like the pepperoni and the olives and the cheese and like all the stuff that I shouldn't be eating. And I'm just enjoying it. And I would probably just take each bite and probably repeat that sequence. It'd probably be very annoying to eat with me. But that's how I would eat, is like if I talk about how good it is, because I'm a
Yeah.
talker,
Yeah.
if you know me. Talk all the time. So it's really important for me to talk about the food, I think, when I consciously eat, so that I can actually realize, hey, you're eating right now, like slow down. You know, so I think that that's probably what I would be doing if I were consciously eating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you would enjoy it more.
100%.
Guarantee.
Yeah, because I only like eating something, and because you're so like numb, like say you're watching TV, which is like my kryptonite. Like if I'm watching TV and eating, I could eat everything. And when I'm watching TV, I literally am like, I'm eating and I can't even taste the flavor because I'm just so, I'm like, oh wow, I'm still eating something, you know, because your just mind is completely somewhere else.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So when you're doing it that way, you are not only sending more signals to your brain to satiate your hunger mechanisms, but you're slowing it down. The hunger mechanism takes 20 to 30 minutes to register.
What is that? Wait.
So if you wolfed your meal down
Okay.
in 15 minutes, you could overeat and not feel full because your hunger mechanism takes 20 minutes to register.
Oh my gosh. That makes so much sense. Yes. Going out to sushi,
Yeah.
I literally would eat it so fast. I'm like, why am I still hungry after I just ate so much food? And then, you know, you wait 20 minutes after you already ordered another roll, and it's like your stomach's out to here.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm in a coma. I don't know what's going on, you know? Right. I've had that experience so many times.
Boom. You're like,
Yeah.
wow,
I'm just
why
like
did
this.
I eat so much?
I hate myself. Everyone's experienced that at Thanksgiving, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, it's going to be good. I'm going to, like, you know, have a smaller portion sizes this year. And you're just there, unbutton the pants. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when people say, oh, I couldn't take another bite,
Couldn't do it.
that's about a half an hour into it or more.
Yeah. When you feel like you're going to, like, yark.
Before 20 minutes, you can take another bite.
If you slow down and chill out.
So this forces you to slow down.
Yeah.
Gives the hunger mechanism time to register, which drastically reduces the amount of overeating. That's how it hacks the overeating part of things.
Okay.
And as far as the mood part of things, if you're in a mood and you start eating, and you're eating to medicate your mood, doing it slowly, enjoying the food, is changing your focus. And then stopping and talking is changing your physiology. And so you're breaking your mood pattern by doing that. Also, there's another aspect to the whole mood thing. It's not just chemical. It's not just treating your brain with drugs, food as a drug. It's maybe past patterns. Maybe you were raised with a parent that when you were upset, they put food in front of you. A lot of people are raised that way. Oh, just have this. So there could be that history of food as a solution. And this helps with that too. Because this fulfills that while slowing you down and preventing the overeating part. Because those people usually eat really fast because they're getting that medicine in their brain as fast as possible and as much as possible.
Yeah.
And they're doing it before they hit the 20-minute satiation signal threshold.
I do it all the time. I think that's one of my, it's so cool because you're talking about it and it totally relates to me. And I know it can relate to a lot of people out there, but for example, like Brody does not do that. He eats so slow, it almost irritates me how slow he eats. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Don't you enjoy your food, you know?
Now saying that?
I know.
After we've had this conversation.
So bad. I know. Isn't that funny though?
Because now you know you'll enjoy it more by eating like Brody.
But I'm being mean. I'm being like, don't you enjoy your food like the American way type thing? And it's just like, I am enjoying my food. And I'm like, I don't get it. And now I get it. But because to me, it's like,
Brody.
Yeah, you're welcome. No, you don't have anything to complain about in that department. So, hey, one less thing, right? But yeah, no, it's really interesting because it applies to me And I just know that for me, it is an emotional thing. And like, I just scarf it down, and it's almost like I think it's going to crawl off my plate. Like, I'm afraid it's not going to be there. And I just don't know why that's happening. But it's just so great to hear all these ways of getting out of that, because eating like that is not only not good because you could overeat, but eating fast is really bad for you.
Gosh, yes.
Like, really, really bad for you. Like, it causes so many health problems. Like, for me, I have a ton of digestion issues, and I have a feeling, you know, from years of just eating super, super fast and like not breathing properly, and, you know, having like, you know, TMI, but gas in my body, because of that reason, is because you're not breathing when you're eating. You're not taking the time to like breathe it in and come up for air, you know. So it's just so interesting. And I think it can actually help a lot of people not just overeat, but their health will probably improve too. Like, you'll feel better when you eat slower.
You do, because it prevents the overeating. But also, another part of conscious eating is thoroughly chewing. You're taking your time, you're chewing it until it's mush. Chewing is 2/3 of the digestive process, because if it's carbs, the enzymes for breaking it down are in your mouth, and if it's meat, they're in your stomach. So but even though the enzymes are in your stomach for meat, it still needs. Meat is hard to break down, but when you use your teeth and you pulverize it, now the stomach doesn't have to work as hard. And you're going to get more nutrients out of it because it's already broken down. It's like baby food.
No, I just get so excited about this stuff. Like, you just talking about it, I'm just, because digestion and like, you know, that part of me, because I know today especially, a lot of our food is not as good as it used to be. There's a lot of preservatives out there. There's a lot of things that we really shouldn't be eating and putting in our body. So if you combine that with the fact that you're not chewing your food, and it's already hard for your body to break down those preservatives or those things alone, like without you not chewing, right? If you did chew it up, it's still hard for it to break it down because it's not supposed to be in there necessarily.
Right.
And then if you're also not chewing, it just adds to the problems. So a lot of people actually suffer from digestion issues today, and it's because of things like this that you're talking about. So I just get so excited about it, because it really can help and improve people's lives if they do this. So.
And a lot of people are suffering from digestion issues. Irritable
So
bowel
many.
syndrome, GERD, all sorts of things.
Yep, I hear it every day, and it's it's your first brain, right? You've done research about that. It's actually what, you know, because you create a lot of hormones in your stomach, or there is hormones in your stomach that kind of translate to your brain. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, the microbiome down there creates certain neurotransmitters and hormones.
Right. So when you're eating inappropriately, or like you're just what we're talking about, like you're fast eating, or you're not breaking down your food, or different things like that, it can actually lead to bad moods. Right, because you're not breaking down the food properly, your digestion's not working well, and so it leads to like fatigue, or you're tired, or you're angry or irritated for some reason, you have no idea why. And so just doing these simple things can really not only help with overeating and making you fitter or whatever, but it also helps with, like you're talking about, your mood.
Yeah.
And so it's just,
You know what serotonin does?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that makes you happy. It's one of the chemicals that
Happy
helps
hormones.
you get. The gut produces 80% of your serotonin. Some people even more.
It's wild.
At least 80%. So if your microbiome is imbalanced and unhealthy, you're not getting that feel-good neurotransmitter produced.
Jeez. Yeah, that explains a lot.
It's huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's so important. I don't think people realize how important their stomachs are, and how much it really dictates so many other things in the body. So many other things.
So there's way more to this technique than what we talked about. In fact, the brain training technique and the brain type test, that for people that get this, and by the way, 11 of the 16 types have this as their top 6.
I bet.
Yeah, but it's a 2-part series because it's such a big deal. But At least we touched on it, and we gave enough for this for people to do it.
Yeah.
So another freebie every time.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get more of your superpowers, your top 6 superpower brain training techniques, in fact, at braintype.me. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention about this particular technique is it makes you focus on your food. So you're only eating.
Mm-hmm.
You're not in front of your computer, and you're not in front of your TV. You're not doing anything else, but you're eating.
Mm-hmm.
It's one task.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's been a lot of studies on multitasking while you're eating, and it's disastrous.
So bad for you.
People overeat, and remember the 20-minute hunger mechanism kick in
Mm-hmm.
thing? Well, that doesn't work. It's turned off when the TV is on.
Mm-hmm.
It's turned off.
Mm-hmm.
That's so wild. For the first time in human history, we found a way to turn off the satiation sensation. And
Crazy.
yeah, it partly has to do with, the alpha brainwave state that TVs put you in, and partly the blue light and the flickering. And there's lots of reasons, but computer monitors can do the same thing. So
crazy.
yeah, and that's why people are just chomping away all day and on the computer all day.
They don't have any awareness. Just
exactly.
so crazy.
The funniest study they did on this was people in a movie theater, and they gave them old stale popcorn. And they watched the movie, and it was a big, huge, king-size bucket. And they ate the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then they asked them after the movie, how was your popcorn? Oh, yeah, it was fine. And then they gave people a king-size bucket just sitting in the room without any distractions. Just sit down at a table, now eat this popcorn. And the first piece, they're like, oh, no, thank you. And then, no, keep going. No, really. And they eat a couple more, and they're, no, please, don't make me eat this. This is horrible. Why did you give me this? My feelings are hurt. It's so bad.
My feelings
But the people in the movie were fine with it. So it just turns off. It turns off that part of your brain that helps you understand what to eat and when to stop.
Gosh, it's so wild.
Yeah. But a lot of people refer to this one as the secret brain hack to reach ideal weight, because it takes a lot of the problems away and a lot of habits away.
Yeah. I think the one thing I wanted to touch on, because I know that a lot of people today, they're like, oh, I don't have time. I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to just sit there and eat.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to say is I understand. Everyone is busy. Everyone has things going on. We're busy all the time. But I know for a fact that my health is a huge priority, and it's really just a matter of priorities. And the other thing is that if you eat consciously, which I have done before, it's not like I've never done it before, I've done it, you are not as hungry. So you don't need to eat as many times a day as you normally do. Right? So your time is actually going to be less eating, and you're going to be less hungry than you normally are, which you're taking more time to figure out what to eat anyways. Even if it's a drive-through or whatever, you're taking your time to go get food. So you can take your time to eat slow. So
yes, great point. Because when they're saying I don't have time for this, they're really saying it's not enough of a priority.
It's not important enough. Yeah.
And if that person sat down and used a spreadsheet to write out the minutes and then the task of every single thing through the entire day, there's so many things they could cut out.
Well,
That's
that and there's so
totally
much
wasting
more time than they think there is.
So much more time.
Yes.
They would have more than enough time for all 3 meals a day and some snacks to consciously eat all of them. But the other thing I tell people is, just like you said, when they say, oh, I don't have time for that, and I say, well, commit to it. And if you don't have time to eat during your day, don't eat. And then they look at me with these wide
How
eyes.
could I not eat?
And
what do you mean?
I go, there's very few countries of the world where you get 3 meals. And even in this country, there's a lot of people that don't get 3 meals. And there's a lot of people that in other parts of the world that are fine with 1 meal a day.
Yeah.
And so why do we even need to be eating all the time? I eat twice a day
Mm-hmm.
because I do intermittent fasting, and sometimes once, because when that first meal rolls around,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not hungry, I don't eat.
Yeah, and it's different. It's different for everybody, right? Like for me, I'm more of like a small portion size, eat throughout the day. So it's really about finding what works for you. And I know that, with the time thing and the time hack, you're trying to make sure that you have enough time. But that's also just a matter of being prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people are so reactive instead of proactive
Bingo.
these days that they really don't think. And I'm not trying to harp on anybody, because everything that I'm saying I'm at fault of as well. I have a lack of preparedness in my life. I always have. And the reason that I've started to become more prepared is because it became more important to me than anything else. And the reason is because it's a domino effect.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not prepared in this area, it causes this problem and this problem and this problem.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't realize that at first because it only looks like one problem,
Mm-hmm.
but it just all can just knock over all the pieces. And so when you're proactive and you're thinking about, okay, how can I set myself up for success here? And you're thinking about it,
Mm-hmm.
you will be so surprised how much more time you have
Mm-hmm.
and how much more good you feel, or better is what I should say, better you feel when you're prepared.
Yep.
And that's just a matter of, is this important to me? If it's important to me, how do I make a plan of action to execute this?
Yep.
Because you can do it.
Bingo. And that also reminds me that it should be certainly mentioned, preparing ahead of time
Mm-hmm.
is another hack for this hack.
Mm.
Because a lot of people think, oh, I just don't have time because, the food prep and then the cooking and then eating, and that's a 2-hour window.
Mm.
Well, yeah, if you do it that way, or you could spend half your day on a weekend
Mm-hmm.
with your spouse. Now you're spending quality time at the same
Mhm.
time as doing all your food prep for the week.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're putting some things are in
Freezer.
containers in the freezer, some things
Mhm.
are containers in the fridge. And boom, now
Mhm.
you've saved hours. Because if you're doing all your food prep in a 2 or 3 hour window on a weekend day, instead of getting out all the stuff, doing all the prep, putting everything back, washing the dishes every day during the week,
So
you're saving
hard.
yourself so much time and trouble by
Yeah.
doing it all at once.
Well, the other thing too is, like, now out there these days, there's so many people in the industries of just selling to try to help us with time.
Mhm.
Like, for example, you have an air fryer, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Air fryers are amazing. There's
Yeah.
so many things that you can make that are super simple.
Mhm.
My soon-to-be husband calls me the simple meal queen,
Mm-hmm.
because if you just figure out some flavor palettes that you really like, take some of the favorite foods you like to eat eating out, and make that stuff at home. It's really not that hard if you just do the research, if you just look into it a little bit. It's not doesn't take a ton of your time. There's tons of meals out there that are so easy, 6 ingredients or less, and you can be done cooking it
Mm-hmm.
in a matter of, minutes, honestly.
Yeah,
Not just
literally.
not like an hour, but minutes.
Right.
And you just make meals that last a long time. Like, for example, something that I really like to make is chicken and veggies and rice. Like, that sounds really boring, but if you make it a different way every single time, like barbecue chicken or lemon chicken or
Right.
whatever, and you can make those things so simply in like an air fryer or even on the stove or whatever. Like I said, just do the research. You really can cut it down to not that much time at all
Yeah.
to prepare your meals for the entire week and have things just ready to go for you.
I hardly ever use my stovetop oven or microwave because I have an air fryer, an Instant Pot pressure cooker,
Yes.
and a crock pot.
Yes, those things are insane. Like, you can find meals for crock pot stuff, and you can literally put them in bags, like an entire thing in a bag. And it takes you not that long to make it and put it in the bag. And then you just dump it in the crock pot.
Yeah.
And you set it for 8 hours, and you come home, and it's ready to go.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't take that long. So like we talked about before, it's just a simple matter of priorities. What is important to you? Do you want to lose weight? Okay, well, then you need to prioritize, and you need to not have excuses about this. And I'm not trying to be hard on anyone, because I've been this way too. And you may make excuses for ourselves, and we put limitations on ourselves, and it's just not true. And you need to stop telling yourself that, because you have time for you. Like if you're, for example, your job, you go to work to make money, but you're also going to work to help the person that you're working for. If you can go to work for 8 hours and help someone else do what they need to do to make their business thrive, you can spend 30 minutes to an hour making yourself some food so that you can lose weight.
Right.
Or making yourself some food so you can get fitter. So it's like, just think about it that way. And people that own a business, it's the same thing. It's just a matter of what's important to you. So.
And if you're truly too busy 7 days a week to do food prep, there's other alternatives. There's food delivery services,
100%, yeah.
ingredient delivery services,
Oh, yeah.
fully cooked meals that are actually, organic and keto if you want, or paleo or primal. There's so many services out there.
Yeah.
Just no excuse.
There's just none. No.
Yeah. Or you can, if you're super rich and you just don't want to do this, then you hire a personal chef.
Yeah.
I have a really good friend who does that for a living.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
she's just slammed.
Yeah.
And she can't find enough employees to come work for her
Yeah.
because of the demand for that.
Yeah. And I just say this with love, because it's like, I've been there where I'm like, man, I just really don't want to do this, or really don't want to do that. And it's just, if you really want to make a change, you're going to. And I know that everyone can do it. Anyone can do it. Anybody. So just definitely do your research on this and make sure that you take your brain test. You know your brain type so that you can hack your brain and know how to not overeat, so that you can save yourself time, and that you can consciously eat and, help yourself get fitter, so.
Yeah, and the overview of this technique is, just to review with an overview.
Oh.
Is
Ooh. I don't know why I said that.
to
Sorry.
Because I was trying to sound clever and you're humoring me.
I know. That's my
So-
job.
I pay her to humor me. Literally.
No. I don't have to smile. I don't have to laugh at your jokes. So. He's funny.
So it's to slow down,
Yeah.
enjoy your food, and maybe it doesn't taste good.
Right.
So talk about it. Why doesn't it taste good?
This is terrible.
Is it the texture? Is
Yeah.
it the taste? Is it the smell? Talk about all the sensations. Chew it thoroughly. Put your food down and your fork down between bites. Cross your arms like me. And you're only doing that without a TV or a computer monitor on until you're done.
Yeah.
You're taking your time, you're enjoying it. The brain will get fuller faster because of the sensation overload, which is good in this case, and because of the time that it takes.
Yeah.
And that's the summary. There's a lot more details in the videos, but
It's so valuable, like the brain type test, with also because it has all this really good information, but there's just so much more to it than we're even covering, because it's just so interesting. Whenever we do these podcasts, we're covering just the surface.
yeah.
Just
The surface of one technique. Yeah.
And so just the amount of techniques that there are and how many brain types there are, it's so important for you to know what you have so that you can use the type that you have properly and just get yourself to your fittest and healthiest self ever.
Faster
right?
and easier.
Faster and easier. And it's a total time hack. What we're doing is saving you time.
Yeah.
It's the whole point of this
Yeah.
is to save you time, because I'm sure all of us have tried things that just don't work. No matter how many times you try it, and you're yo-yo dieting and you're frustrated and you're irritated, or you're yo-yo fitnessing, it's just all those different things. So this is huge for you to kind of rewire your brain and learn how to make yourself better.
It's truly a life changer.
It is.
It's the same price as 4 drinks at a bar, and those drinks aren't going to change your life. They might make it worse.
For the
They
night.
might make your fitness and health worse.
You're not going to feel good in the morning. You might feel good right now, but
Yeah.
you're not going to feel good in the morning. So
But yeah, it's a no-brainer.
it absolutely is, because the information is invaluable. So,
Right on.
and where can you get the brain type test?
Braintype.me. It's not braintypeme.com. It's braintype.me. And I say that because people are constantly going to braintypeme.com.
Type me?
Yeah, braintypeme.com.
You say dot so very efficiently.
It's braintype.me. Braintype.me.
Yeah.
Braintype.me. Braintype.me.
Yeah,
SOA.
I got it.
I know you got it.
Got it.
But repetition is the mother of learning.
Yes,
and hearing
it is.
sometimes.
Listening, not just hearing. But yes, that's great.
But you know what
Awesome.
the father of learning is?
What?
We've already talked about it. Images and emotions.
Really?
That's the father of learning, because the toddlers love storybooks with pictures. And if the story's emotional, you're just going to love it. You're going to eat it up.
Tell me
If it's
again.
exciting, or if it's
Yeah.
scary, or if it's funny,
Full
with
of emotion.
pictures.
Could be any kind of emotion.
And
is what
that's
you're
how
saying.
we program our toddler, our inner toddler in our brain, is images and emotions is the father, and the mother is repetition.
So cool. Good stuff.
Right on. Boom.
Boom. Goes the dynamite.
And that's all I have to say about that.